Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 29th of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you an overview which we can all relate to collectively, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater detail all the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. This is very much a community. Do share any thoughts you have. I try to interact with each one, but please also subscribe by clicking or tapping on the bell notification symbol. As this week begins, so the Sun is in a very enthusiastic and energizing link with Mars. The Sun's in Gemini, which is fleet-footed, loves lots of quick, short, but bright conversations and has an appetite for everyday knowledge and information. Mars in the proud Leo is a really wonderful location for Mars. It's pushing us to manifest our talents wherever we can. It's just that despite their vibrant link, Saturn is being somewhat of a spoilsport, located in house 12, which can be to do with the people who are not necessarily on our side, or the more psychological or subconscious strands of our situation. Saturn is in a right angle with the Sun, which can slow things down, but it's also in a trine angle with Mars. And if we don't really target our efforts in a very focused way, we could end up feeling a bit frustrated at the start of this week. But Wednesday, fortunately, sees Mercury emerge from its post-retrograde shadow. If we go back to the 4th of April, when Mercury moved into Taurus, by the 7th, it started to slow down and go into its pre-retrograde shadow. The retrograde itself began on the 21st of April and ended on the 15th of May. But if anything to do with finance has felt sluggish, has slowed down for you, or you've been waiting for some information or news, the chances are you're going to get that confirmation in the second half of this week as Mercury comes out of shadow, which is like a mini retrograde, but also aligns with the bright energies of Uranus, which is very much about truths. So Uranus in Taurus is joined by Mercury, and some information can come into the open which provides some real illumination, particularly if you have been feeling that things just aren't shifting. Now Venus is the ruler of the sign of Taurus and therefore intrinsically linked to everyday finance, but is currently in the feeling sign of Cancer, and it forges a quite enchanting link with Neptune in the second half of this week. If you're lucky enough to be involved in a friendship, association, or personal relationship, which really is lovely, you can celebrate this with that other person in the latter part of this week. But Venus is also in a direct opposition with Pluto, and that can bring a much more political vibe to bear. But overall, the two influences involving Venus ask us to really count our blessings in terms of our associations, but also appreciate what our core values are, which provide our sense of security, with Venus being in the sign of security, Cancer. But as the week draws to a close, we do have the full moon, the Sagittarius strawberry full moon. So this can be a crop of strawberries, if we like, over the next couple of weeks, but it can also see some strident conversations. The sign of Sagittarius loves openness and can be quite frank, but it's also about higher truths, whereas the Sun in Gemini is about those everyday quick moving chats that are not necessarily always so deep and thought through. So there could be some kind of discussion that manifests itself at the end of this week. If it's about money, if it's about our core values, our self-worth, or a relationship, it really wouldn't be a surprise. But something may need to come into the open which provides illumination, but it could be a little bit uncomfortable hearing what someone has to say. Now, if you would like to learn much more deeply how astrology can have such a profound impact on your life, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data, of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you an intimate understanding of the patterns that have played out in your existence so far. In my special offer of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month forecast, totally unique to you, these reports, and that will give you Syrian insights. If you don't know your time, my new solar reports based on the sun can also be invaluable to you. Please see the links below for more. So Pisces, your week commencing the 29th of May forecast sees the strict Saturn and the dreamy Neptune both in your sign, forging very influential alliances to other planets this week. But let's just look at Saturn first of all, because Saturn really impacts on the first half of this week. And it's a bit of a paradox because the sun is in the part of your situation asking you to be mindful of your home, your emotions, your immediate environment, and it's forging a terrific link to Mars. So Mars is in your 6th house, which is to do with the practical strands. So if you were wanting to do it yourself, for example, or just reorganize your home, tidy up, have a declutter, then the sun's link with Mars is very helpful. Saturn, however, can be a very limiting energy when it squares up to the sun, and it's also forging an obtuse angle to Mars. So that potential for energy is just muted somewhat by Saturn's more restrictive vibe. It's also possible that what you want around a home, a family or emotional issue is different from someone else close to you. Or you could just be feeling that your immediate environment is not one that you're enjoying particularly. It may be you like your home but find where it's located is not ideal, or perhaps you want more space but that's not possible at the moment, and so forth. However, if you can be really patient and just try to do things that are achievable. So in other words, don't give yourself huge ambitious targets. You could make progress and gain traction with Mars and the sun's help. But Saturn squaring up with the sun can be an aspect that just takes a little bit of the wind out of our sails, can discourage us a little bit. So if you feel a little bit below par, just bear in mind that by the middle of the week, this will phase away. Now, also at the middle of the week, Mercury emerges from shadow. It links with Uranus towards the end of this week, and your mental juices will really pick up speed and you'll feel much more like connecting to others. But let's take Neptune now. Well, Neptune's forging a quite beautiful link to Venus from Thursday through to the end of the week. And Venus is located in a gorgeous part of your situation, the 5th house. And this alliance could trigger some kind of connection or moment to treasure that really can be uplifting. Also, Venus is forging an opposition with Pluto towards the end of this week, which is going to increase your drive to socialize or to up your energy around a romantic tie. However, by the end of the week, we do have a full moon. And this full moon is going to see your emotions quite close to the surface. If you're someone who generally is quite a private person, that could be a little bit uncomfortable. If you're someone who's more gregarious and outgoing, I don't think it's going to be so much of an issue. But essentially, some worldly demands may push you to engage with those just at the time when you may be taking some comfort from just being in your own space, having some moments of peace and calm, which is very much what the 4th house is about. And if you're not an avid do-it-yourselfer and Mars isn't going to push you to be more productive on the home front, just having that time to really be is something you can really appreciate. So I think this full moon could just bring in a dynamic over the following couple of weeks where you may have to just come out of that inner world and engage with something that is a little bit more everyday, but just at a time when you may prefer to be a little bit more reflective.